Welcome everybody to the third game of the Monkey Bubble Banana Brawl. We've already seen EZ take Hot Bath well to the cleaners, and Hostile Takeover beat out Stop Toxicity. But coming up next, two brand new teams, no OD names, no Trials names coming at you. We're going to be watching Funny Team against Chicken Nuggies. I'm Big Hungry Phil, and with me is Lafon. Lafon, first, hi, welcome to the broadcast. Hope you're doing okay today. What have we got to look forward to in this matchup?
A lot, actually. This is a matchup of former teammates facing off against each other. First of all, primarily, I know that one cuts you to the quick just a little bit there, Phil. But of course, aside from that, there are players here who you know quite a bit, right? We've seen players that have former Overwatch League experience in some of these rosters. So a lot riding on the line here in terms of just showing yourself to the world, showing that you've still got, the chops to play at the highest level. And I think one of the things that we can kind of expect here is coming right out the gate. I think some high octane gameplay, especially off the back of those teams that, as we said, they're pickup teams. So we're not really sure what their level of coordination coherence is quite yet.
And one of the conversations we were having before this is we were looking at Funny Team, who obviously are one of these teams in the Banana Brawl that has Overwatch League caliber players on them in the form of Fincy and Danye. We were looking at this and wondering, okay, Funny Team, they've got Danye, they've got Monk Mutter, and they've also got Rat. Like, who's starting here? Who's picking up what DPS role? Because, arguably those are three fairly well-established DPS players. And whilst I have my own personal preferences and that I want to see Monk protected and happy and given the chance to flourish, like, I don't know who I would pick in that starting lineup. But looking at the lobby, it seems like we've got Monk, Mutter, and Danye starting here, so no Rat just yet.
And I mean, this is going to come down to once we get later into the series, how things kind of shake out. But this is probably the lineup we expect to start. Even if you had given me the roster at a blind look, those two players that we listed, right? They're more established. They've got more experience, more practice overall. So I think that's kind of why we're going to see them coming in out the gate. That being said, we got to talk about something that's a little bit beyond just the individual players, and that's how sort of these teams match up. I touched on the fact that these are essentially pickup teams, and the fact that they haven't played together quite a bit, and none more so, I think, evident of that than Krandop, the main tank, coming in, because we've talked, he's been a mainstay in NA for a very long time. I think this is his first tournament back in EU, so I'm excited to see how that kind of has evolved and he's adapted in sort of that situation. And perhaps Krandop has been highly touted for a long time, so is he going to come to that forefront yet again? Because been very excited to see what he's been able to bring to the table in terms of pure mechanics. Now I need to start seeing his team start to string together wins, and hopefully for him at least, it starts here.
You'd like to think so. You got to think for Krandop as well. Also now back playing in an EU tournament, living in the EU, no longer playing on the high ping requirements that are needed to play for the Uprising, so might be a little bit more like easy mode for him here. But as you said, this is a pickup team. They don't have that synergy, and really main tank off tank for me is one of the two pairings where you have to have that synergy, and it's got to work out the gate. So not having that playtime together, yes, they are high caliber players. Can they make this work?
Well, that's going to be the question to be answered in the next 10 seconds. As the gates get ready to unlock. And I mean, what are we looking at here? Nothing too surprising at all as we get directly into it. Dive being the flavor of the month, right, with the nerf coming in to Roadhog in the most recent patch. The Echo is the one that I'm keeping an eye out for sure, though, as both teams electing to run the Mercy Pocket alongside it. The gates unlock. We're underway here on Garden. Lijiang Tower begins.
Well, it's going to be Funny Team with the Lucio pick here from Sir Madja, that able to get to that point a little bit quicker. A nice rotation here from Krandop to try and get the environmental kill. Won't pick it up, but has now effectively surrounded Chicken Nuggies. So far, the only casualty is going to be Fincy's mech. Danye now opting to take the aerial 1v1, spots his opposite number in the form of Light heading over in towards the house, but abandoning that chase for now. So nobody yet able to find the kill here. We're going to be looking for that first one to come through before we have any danger here of the point flipping over. But look at the way some of these ult charges are creeping up here. We're likely to see, well, you know what? With the sticky bombs in, taking Krandop out of the fight, losing some of that mobility, that massive health pool, we're likely to see this start to go the way of, well, who even knows at this point? That's another pick coming through. The pulse bomb connects onto Danye. Still no point flip. It is Chicken Nuggets with the most capture percentage, and now with the most kills in their favor. Atlas now looking to bodyguard Monk. Doesn't want him in the fight just yet, but forced to use the recall. Monk still holding onto his and holding on to full spawn for now. It's down to the 1v1. Lucio back there, so much helping keep him alive in this one. All this time, Chicken Nuggies have managed the cap now, but the fight, Lafon, is still going.
Yeah, the minefields are going to be out on the point, as is the nano boost onto the Tracer to make things a little bit more difficult. Atlas trying to get in with the D-Mech will do so, but they're starting to lose players out here. Our Chicken Nuggies, Dania gets in another kill.
The Chicken Nuggies don't really matter. Oh, what a lob there. Will find the connect. Light's there to get the follow through and actually secure the kill onto Crandop. So Chicken Nuggies starting to turn things around a little bit now. They removed Danny from the duplicate bomb, and Light has one of their own. Picks up the Tracer, has the pause spot, looking for somewhere to stick it, but the target just gets yeeted out from underneath him. Nowhere to stick it, but will survive it. Gets taken out of the duplicate and is now back into the primary form, standing up in the window, keeping this going that little bit longer. And all this time, Chicken Nuggies, they might not be winning the fight outright, but look at the percentage they have captured here. It's a pop-off from Monk that finds the double. Cranup's got one as well. Light at low HP finally gets the work over from Dange, and I'm hoping for Funny Team this is going to be the flip, because they have put a lot into this one.
There is going to be a couple of stall coming back in as the Wrecking Ball comes in. He's going to get the whole shielding off as well, and this will elect it to the 75% mark or so before the point flips over as Atlas goes down. The one thing to note here is that the focus fire from Funny Team has not been ideal. This has just been a long stagger out, and realistically, they won this fight a good 15-20% ago. They just haven't really been able to focus the targets down. Yet again, another stall comes in. The Lucio's back into play. It is going to flip over here in a moment, but how much is going to cost them?
Starboy's back, and he has found a kill there. Takes Dania out of the fight. Gustav's going to go down here as well. So Chicken Nuggies, they've dragged this all the way to 99-0, and they're starting to claw it back. They've got Blur back on the point here, and he's ready to set up that spin cycle. Crandall's going to go down here as well. No search option available for Funny Team just yet, and this is looking great for Chicken Nuggies right now. Monk Mudder Moan down by Atlas. The stick at the end of the fight takes Dania out of it. 99-0, the team kill. And oh boy, if this is the energy for the rest of this matchup, Lafon, we are in for an exhausting time.
Funny Team makes a liar of me because they weren't able to turn a 6v1. Bill, I don't know how frequently you've watched Overwatch. I'm going to guess quite a bit. How often do you see 6v1s turning in the favor of the team with one? Not...
I can't think of a standout instance, like, short of like a miracle yeet of a Diva Bomb in from the back line that takes out the entire enemy team. I can't think of when that's happened.
And it'll be easy to talk about Chicken Nuggies doing a great job of making sure their stagger comes in clean. And yes, there is an element of that, but I mean, you're up 6-on-1. But you just have to clean up those one kill. You just simply cannot allow the stagger to do that, and that's the case of the focus fire just not being there for Funny Team. I'm hoping to see something a little bit more efficient from them here in round number 2 as we get started at Night Market.
Haven't quite got the matchup this time, but looks like Monk Mudder's just going to run into the Helix Rocket there and get taken out of it. It's a 5v6. Danny on the high ground now a little less uncontested with one less DPS to put pressure their way. Moose over on the D, a long way from his signature hero of the Roadhog, but as you rightly surmised, no longer quite so meta here. It's looking like Chicken Nuggies might have done enough here to at least scare Funny Team off from this fight for now.
And there's an element coming in here with, I mean, they're going to get the first flip, but they are, Dania coming in clutch actually gets another kill out.
Yeah, this is
down.
We called this done way before it was ready to be done, although Light does get brought back in, and Fincy very quickly DMX'd on the back of that. Blur's got a bodyguard here, gets the rundown onto Fincy, and a cheeky 12% there for Funny Team that maybe they shouldn't even have been given.
Yeah, it's a 12% that you're not really worried about giving, though, if you are Chicken Nuggies, because you had won the fight already. And the one difference that's been going through here is Light on the Soldier, rather than the Echo. Obviously, we did see the Soldier get the changes where he now has the up recoil rather than spread. Yeah, it does, and so it's putting a lot of pressure on the Echo in the sky, and Dania not nearly as aggressive as he'd like to be, I think.
Atlas took a little bit of a winding there on the way around, trying to take a cheeky angle, but we'll get back to full health now. Light's just about to get this tactical visor online and ready to go. Dania receives the nano boost and is going to use that to get his ultimate online. Picks up the Diva form this time before taking Blur out of the fight. But Light now, with the tactical visor, is able to find Monk Mudder, so that's very quickly equalized, although, again, reversed by the rescuer back in from Gustav. And we've actually seen a flip here. In all the confusion, Funny Team have enough bodies on the point to secure a flip. I don't think Chicken Nuggies are quite ready to give this out just yet. The minefield will buy 20 teams some time, though.
They're going to commit both support ultimates here. Sir Magic gets the nano boost up online as well. They're going to take down Atlas as Danye gets so much damage through.
Oh, Monk will have a pulse bomb here. Doesn't need it. Blur works over with the primary fire away into the back to deal with Ding. Fancy with the self-destruct deals with Starboy. And we're looking at Funny Team equalizing point cap percentage.
And I mean, that all starts off because that fight was so extended, right? That realistically was one fight that we saw the tail end of there, but it took about 40% to get it all the way done. And I mean, all starts off with a great copy from Danye who takes the Diva, and into the Soldier, it's a permanent matrix, right? You're not going to get any shots through. Double Divas means that all that damage gets nullified pretty easily. So a great read there from Danye, and that starts a snowball in. Now on to Chicken Nuggies, though. They're looking for that pickoff. Atlas trying on the flank to try and get that pulse bomb stick. Just to open things up here for Chicken Nuggies.
Yeah, certainly could be a good location to stick that. Monk Mudder holding on to his for now as Danny gets the follow with the sticky bombs and takes life out of the equation. It's now a 5v6 in favor of Funny Team, who are now at 73% and climbing on the point here. Danye, with the finishing beam, won't quite find the pick, but instead receives the full brunt of the anti-nade and gets taken out of the fight. But in the meantime, they have lost Blur here, and Danye just instantly gets raised back up. Massive numbers advantage now for Funny Team. Chicken Nuggies have got to pull something fairly big out of the bag inside the next few seconds.
I mean, that all starts. This is going to be a stagger fight, even if they do get a contest. Krandov has the minefield as well. Will be able to just cause issues here on the entry to the choke point. Will deny the entire of the point.
Yeah, Atlas able to weave their way through, but lands inside the crosshairs of Monk Mudder, winning that particular matchup. Looking for light there with the pulse bomb, but Monk Mudder's pulse bomb taken out of that by Moose. Ex-teammate on ex-teammate violence. Overtime is now ticking down rather quickly. Danye is going to find Blur, and that's got to be it and done, surely. Nobody really left here to maintain the fight in a significant way for Chicken Nuggies. It's 1-1. We've got one more on Lee Jang coming your way.
That's a little unfortunate there for Blur as he gets thrown off the map, so no Resurrect available. Meanwhile, Danye was taken down in a close quarters environment where the Resurrect was available, so it became, in that instance, a 6v5 rather than a 5v5. So credit to Funny Team for keeping that one clutch. And a good read, ultimately, I think, from specifically from Krandov in terms of how he evolved his gameplay throughout the round, playing a lot more flank heavy style, just trying to create harass in the backline rather than play an aggressive frontline wrecking ball, in as much as that means anything. So, we are going to head here now to Control Center, and this is an extreme evolution, right? It's a close quarters map. We're not going to see the wrecking ball, at least off the top. Reinhardt is going to be the main Brawl character here. Really interesting stuff. Mirrored Junkrats as well, so a lot of spam damage available.
I think if Moose is given the opportunity here to generate enough charge and be that third DPS that the Zarya can be, this is an easy win here for Chicken Nuggies. I don't know what the Sigma brings to this one. And Atlas finds the early pick. Danye down and out of the fight. Atlas will find his opposing numbers trap, but it is go here from Chicken Nuggies. They are taking the advantage. Krandov's going to be able to find Atlas here, which is going to force Chicken Nuggies back to the point as they know that they're very shortly going to be at a disadvantage. Instead, here they are to fortify themselves on point. Light has the Symmetra, the beam already up to level 2. Krandov, the second he puts that shield back up, he's going to make that Symmetra that little bit harder to deal with. We'll see the Mace swap coming in here from Danye, trying to control a bit more space here. No flip on the point just yet, but finally Chicken Nuggies are starting to turn the momentum in their favor. Krandov is down. Gustav is desperately trying to keep this going, but the point flip finally comes through.
Yeah, a little unlucky timing there from Krandov in terms of how he went for that charge and came back to punish him. Monk Mudder now, obviously, with a pulse bomb, looking to get that pick off. So there has been a bit of a difference here in terms of what we've seen from these teams. Sir Magic is going to make a switch over to the Moira off the Baptiste. They want that mainline healing just a little bit more in tune.
Here it comes.
Pulse bomb comes in.
Ooh, a little bit wide. Does at the very least flush out the immortality field, and that's now down. Krandov's able to find light here, but did get the photon barrier up. It provides a lot of safety here for the team. Krandov closing in on having that shatter, but does not want to throw it in over the top of that sound barrier. It's a big charge from Krandov, but sadly not able to get that fishing net around anything and drag that back into the hitbox. In the meantime, Blur's going to find one pick there, and looks like Monk Mudder might be going for a swap here.
Yeah, Krandov actually escapes with his life, so he's giving a lot of energy over to his supports for that healing, although Sir Magic goes down. So a sound barrier here on the re-engage. Moose is going to have the Graviton Surge. You're going to have to dodge that some way, somehow, because that is going to be the win condition here indeed for Chicken Nuggies, and likely the map win condition if it lands, rather.
We are at 60%, and these team fights have been going on for a ridiculous amount of time. Gravitic Flux, Sound Barrier, and Immortality Field all committed in that fight, and it's going to be Blur that finds the opening crack there. Gustav down. Gustav did go down to the back of that one. Fincy's still alive and causing trouble here, but Chicken Nuggies are holding onto the point for now. Fincy's starting to prove the value here of the Sigma in the raw damage output and space control that you have, but Monk Mudder back in on the Reaper is not to be discounted as part of the win condition on this one. It's a flip at 84 here for Funny Team.
Yeah, it's a tough last fight nearly for Funny Team to kind of have to worry about. They are going to have the Blizzard on a line in just a moment. So Dunye, the crowd control from that can be a big difference maker here. Switch over as Light goes from the Symmetra to the Reaper, so nearly mirror compositions. The only difference, obviously, the BAP and the Mei. As Shatter comes in, but blocked.
No, that's unfortunate. Just slightly not the right angle there. Monk, but is able to find one as Blur gets taken down, and it's going to be the aggro Sound Barrier there. Starboy into the back, boops Crandall forward into the line of fire over Moose, who's got a lot of charge and is surging forward with the rest of his team. 2 kills and counting. Light up in personal proximity to Fincy, chases him away. We are going to see Funny Team give over the point, but this is almost last fight territory, LaFon.
I mean, you have to get to the point now. You're not worrying about a clean fight, you're worrying about a contest. 90% and counting. Coalesce is out to open it all up.
We'll see the Flux come through from Fincy as an initiation tool here. Wants to try and deal with Atlas. Atlas escapes with a sliver of HP, and you can hear the tire away in the background. He did get that off, but I don't think it's found too much here. 99 to 40. Funny Team not out of the fight just yet, but as Fincy drops, as their survivability plummets in this team fight, they're going to struggle to come back from this one. The Shatter out, but Light now given free range to throw in the Death Blossom, finishes off Danye. The overtime wick's going to tick down, and that's 1-0 for the wonderfully named Chicken Nuggies.
A really clean retake there. Actually, I think the Lucio play there was spectacular on the Sound Barrier. They down 1, right? Their main tank is taken out, and instead, recognizing that Crandop was incredibly weak, executes the Sound Barrier, goes for the boop, and just calls the rest of the team in for the fight. A very clean hit, re-engage, and honestly, it takes a lot of it takes a lot of guts to make a call like that, a play like that, you know, and still go for it. But it was the right play at the right time, and that kind of aggression is what you need to be a top tier, a top tier main support in general, but of course a top tier team overall as well. So credit to that, small microplay at the end that really flipped the map back into Chicken Nuggies' favor.
You've got to be thinking, LaFon, that there has probably never been a more pressure-filled time for Tier 2 and Tier 3 players looking to make the move up the ladder, as teams in Overwatch League are either looking for contenders players and, taking players out of that contenders pool, space to move up for our Tier 3 teams, and just generally the increase in events, in ways to generate money, to earn money, being a professional Overwatch player. Like, opportunities like this are absolutely paramount for these teams, and the pressure they feel here has to be unbearable nearly. Like, they want to get this, they want to move up the ladder, and so their ability to keep performing is going to be sorely tested in this one.
It certainly is, and I think we saw a snippet of that there, right? There's a lot, even just beyond your sort of a normal play. I think Overwatch is also in a place right now where you have to be the most flexible you've ever been. We saw multiple main tanks played out, right? The Wrecking Ball was brought into play, the Reinhardt was brought into play. I believe, at times we may even see a Winston step in at some point in time as well, depending on teams' picks. So it not only is there more space to move up, but there's more, there's more ways to show yourself off as a good player in Overwatch as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing that evolve. Obviously, we've seen it a little bit in this tournament so far. We've seen a lot of flexibility from a lot of players, and I can only expect that to continue as we move forward.
Well, moving forward, we have got our next map locked up and ready to go. And, if you were going to go from Lijiang to any hybrid map in the world, having seen as much Overwatch as we've seen here, LaFon, it's not going to be a surprise that we're going to be going to King's Row next off. So, Funny Team's choice here. And do you wonder what Funny Team have got planned here to overcome Chicken Nuggies?
Yeah, if you gave me a blind pick on any map that we'd go to for hybrid, and I only had one choice, for like 15 different choices, it would always be King's Row, and I'd be right probably a good 80% of the time. Not a surprise there at all. I think what we're going to see here is going to be dependent on the evolution from map to map, right? There's coming into play, we saw obviously a very hyper-mobile look on map number 1. with regards to the first 2 points on control. But that's control. I think control center, obviously the third stage that we saw, was a little bit more indicative of the pace that we may see on closer maps or closed-in maps rather, like Kings Row tends to be through the majority of the phase. So I wonder if we're going to see more of that, that shield play, that Reinhardt coming in just down the main chokeways. Obviously, this is a relatively new patch at the professional level. It's been around for a while, but we haven't really gotten to see nearly as much game time on it as we got, say, on the Roadhog patch, where there's an entire playoff bracket that was played in it. So I think now we as an audience are also starting to see that evolution in real time. We're seeing what the teams have obviously been practicing on quite a bit, but we're getting to it as an audience to see it for the first time. And I'm excited to see how it's evolved even in the short while since the most recent Soldier patch even.
And I will keep bringing this back to old Clockwork Vendetta players, because that's just who I am. I'm not going to apologize for that. You've got to feel for Moose, like having had this super Roadhog patch for a little while, and then not really getting the chance to play that professionally when you made your name as a Roadhog player, has got to feel pretty bad. But on the subject of that, Chicken Nuggies are looking to make a substitution here, and they're bringing Vendetta in, which puts them at a situation where they're looking at double off tanks here. So I wonder what Chicken Nuggies are going to be bringing out here. I wonder if we are going to find some room for Moose to release the Hog.
It's certainly possible. I mean, in the recent patch, we've seen a double off tank played. Even still being played, right? There's an element of control that has been played around. I mean, control like the concept of taking control
the
of the
verb,
map,
not the map type.
Exactly, yeah. In terms of just taking space from a team by playing up extremely aggressively through the threat of that one shot, of the hook coming in, of that punishment that is brought to bear as a result. So, Roadhog, it's still, even with the reduced damage, is still playable in certain scenarios. And I wonder if that is going to be the case here, right? It's a pretty easy guess to make considering the substitution, right? Not necessarily known for general main tank play necessarily in Moose's case, but it's going to be an interesting thing to see here. How they're going to match up against, especially I think Krandop and Finzi, who are able to play the breadth of tanks between them. So that's definitely going to be an interesting thing here for me.
Yeah, and of course it puts them in an awkward position where if they suddenly decide they need to run a main tank against what Funny Team are bringing to bear here, then that's going to be a lot harder for them to do. So they're putting a lot of eggs in a very particularly shaped basket on this one. But LaFon, whilst we're waiting for our games to start here, and that should be with you in not too long, just want to take a minute to give a word of thanks to our sponsors today. So we've got two coming at you: Opera GX, the browser of choice for gamers, and of course TeamSpeak, which is a large part of why our audio is so crisp, clear, and correct right now. But the plugs are over, and we are getting ready to head over into our second map of today, which is going to be, as we've mentioned previously, Kings Row. So I have just had the word that we should be going in shortly, and maybe I've been pulled up a little bit short on this one.
There's going to be obviously as we get set to go into the map here. When we get to the attack defense matchup, that's going to be a big difference maker, right? Obviously, if you as the map pick, you don't get to pick which side you're on, and so defense and attack has some level of interference in terms of how you approach a strategically, right? If you play defensively, you can sort of set the tempo of the map, because once you prevent either you prevent the capture and kind of set your win condition, or you lose out the remainder of, you lose out the full capture, and you have to start saying, all right, here's how we play aggressively in terms of the attack run ourselves. So when we bring that into play, right? So that's kind of what we're expecting with the fact that Funny Team, looking over at Krandop on the Roadhog has kind of tripped my brain up a little bit. Funny Team on the defense here, they're going to have that ability to break, sort of set the tempo, as I said, right? If they get that hold in at any point in the map, then suddenly your attack becomes a little bit more relaxed, and you can play a little bit more around rotations rather than trying to force plays. However, that changes once you start to play, if you start, give up the entirety of the map with time remaining.
Look, the nice people at home can't see this, but the smile on my face when I saw Moose move off the Orisa and onto the Roadhog, as nature intended, cannot be underestimated. So we're going to see the double off tank coming through here as predicted, Vendetta going to be picking up the signal on this one. Light looking for an angle, almost finds Sir Majid. Sir Majid did take a bit of a winding on that one, and Light's being very, very patient with this one. Oh, and the patience pays off! Danier gets his head taken off at the shoulders. Light finds the second. Monk Mudder's down here as well, and Light, inside 30 seconds, has started to take over this game, but the pressure has not been enough here. Fincy and Sir Majid both get a number on the board here. The rest of the team weren't quite quick enough to capitalize on the space that Light had bought. We'll see Vendetta now starting to dig his feet solidly into the point and get some space. It's the 1v1 now with Fincy, and Starboy's there to help him win out this one. Takes up the high ground, gets winged there with the TNT and has to back out. In the meantime, Krandov is now back on the board to keep the fight going.
A little bit of greed there from Chicken Nuggies, though, as they got that first 2 pickoffs, but they walked in way too aggressively, and it's going to continue here as Danya takes Light's head off. Not going to be given a second attempt, and you know, with that greed, we saw Atlas play very aggressively in the backline, takes down the Zen, but gets taken down by the Zen. My mistake. And you can see now the pressure being put on. 2 kills. They have to take it slower, though.
This has not been the first time they've been 2 kills up, but having taken Fincy out of the picture and with that res now being off the table, it's going to be that little bit easier for Chicken Nuggies to start to ramp up that progress on the point. Monk Mudder's going to find one there. Moose is going to go down, but it's 2 ticks and rising here for Chicken Nuggies. Funny team have to tag in. Monk Mudder just gets there, but can't stay on it, and that's going to put 4 minutes plus on Chicken Nuggies' attack run.
And, I mean, we're going to look at the alt bank here as Sir Majid goes down as well, and it's 5-6 going to be online here as Atlas is looking for a pulse bomb, I think. Gets scouted out, though, and is forced to retreat to his team. Doesn't want to burn the recall that early. This next fight is going to be explosive. We're going to see the Great Fox online as Light commits the Infrasight, now has vision of the entirety of the team, and nearly takes Krandov.
There it is! Won't find anything, forced to burn the recall, and now one less tool in the arsenal here for Chicken Nuggies. Fincy's will throw in the Griffith Flux there, but immediately countered by the Transcendence. Krandov's going to fall here. Fincy too, as the whole hog comes through from Moose. Fincy gets worked down. Danny's able to find 2 there, 1 from themselves, 1 from the big Omnic Butler away on the point, dealing with Ding. Light's got a great angle here, but so far nobody is playing into his line of sight. Yeah,
they're being very careful about it. You can see Atlas trying to go and force the issue. Will be forcing the Transcendence out, rather, I should say, of Sir Majid, but time has been bought for Funny Team.
Well, they are now a long way away from the choke, which is probably the worst place in the world you want to be as the offensive team. Gets it a little bit easier for them for now. Monk Mudder's once again on the flank, has the pulse bomb locked, loaded, ready to deliver. Looks to try and lock that into the hitbox of Ding, but won't find it. That's going to go wide, but fairly quick charging. Oh, should be back and ready to go. Light has yet to be dislodged until, of course, there is a Fincy on the wrecking ball rolling rapidly over towards it. It's a DPS traded out for a DPS here. Funny Team playing away on the stairs. Buys Gustav the space to get the rares back in and equalize this fight. That's a no hit on the hook there from Krandov, but everybody else makes themselves scarce for the time being. Light's going to get worked down here. Fincy chases him down, and that's going to be the hold here for Funny Team.
And I like this look with the Wrecking Ball a lot more than the Wrecking Ball Sigma. I think the Roadhog crowd control with the hook is a little bit more effective, especially at denying space from the Tracer specifically. We're going to see Light go over to the Soldier now. The Widowmaker, we saw how respectfully Funny Team was playing around that sightline from Light, and so value was not being gained, and that's going to be the reset. Moose going to return to the Roadhog as the Wrecking Ball experiment was more for a contest than anything else. Finzy and Monk Mudder trying to chase out Atlas.
Monk Mudder very close to having another Pulse Bomb online. I feel like we've not seen a lot of value from any Pulse Bombs so far in the 2 rounds where we've seen Tracer in play. Light's going to get the pocket here as well from Starboy, but catches Krandov and lands the Helix Rocket into that meaty hitbox. Takes him down. It's the 5v6. Don't know the Gustav's going to get the chance to equalize with the res, but Danye and Monk Mudder between them find 3 picks apiece and continue the hold here on the streets of Kings Row.
And Moose is a little bit ashamed of that last fight. He actually gets stuck and walks into Light. The close quarter delivery there of the Pulse Bomb, making things a little bit difficult for the Soldier player, and that allows enough damage to be dealt for the Bob to clean up the remainder. So Danye taking full advantage of his high ground. Actually doesn't really have a ton of contest. with how, you know, passively he's playing here on this high ground, you have to run all the way around this map pretty much to get any sort of damage on him. And even then, he has the pocket of both supports. So things are looking very, very good for Dunny to just rain damage down. Nice. And Minefield available here for Finzi.
Finzi with the setup. It's a nice wide spread. It's a nice slam down. Crandop is able to find Ding here. Will actually get that whole hog online and ready to go. Pops it, takes out a support. Takes a lot of health damage themselves on the way through, but will pick up that mini health pack there as well, but eventually gets focused down by Light. I still think Funny Team might have done enough here to keep the hold running.
It's certainly looking a little bit... I mean, Crandop's not in a resible position. You can see that high ground rotation. Danye trying to find a flank, but instead finds the hyperspheres of Vendetta. And so we'll have to retreat back to the team. Moose, I think, misses the hook there. And it's already now a small reset for Chicken Nuggies.
Yeah, we're under a minute here. Atlas from Chicken Nuggies has the pulse bomb ready to go. Will be winning out that Transcendence. Ducks the hitbox down to avoid getting that taken off by Danye. And it's Light now with a tactical visor able to find Gustav. Danye down as well. Light gets dived here by the Wrecking Ball of Finzi and soaked up a lot of that damage, but threw a lot of resources in just trying to deal with that ultimate. And in the meantime, Chicken Nuggies have started to open this box up that little bit further. Monk, but it's going to go down here. It's 15 seconds on the clock. The whole hog from Moose will stop the recon test coming through. Sir Majid was perched over there on the left-hand side, but Moose is on the flank. But that's going to be the point capped here. 1 minute, 30 seconds left to go here for Chicken Nuggets to complete the map.
A really good hold, though, on second, considering the fact there's 4:40 on the time bank when the first point was unlocked. You bleed a ton of time away. And now, I mean, a minute half, you're looking at the, the Minefield being able to stall out one fight towards that 30-second point, and then you probably get an overtime look, regardless of whether you win or lose a fight. So things are looking pretty good here for Funny Team, actually, and a great dynamite in from Danye to bring himself close to that bomb.
There's another Minefield. Nice wide spread there from Finzi, but receives the rock, takes a lot of damage on the way through, and so far the Miners have not found anything by way of kills. Monk with the end of the pulse bomb here, and in between his opposite number, able to find Moose and work him down in this one. So it's a 1-for-1. Now no Roadhog available for either team here. Finzi gets a big roll through, but down to 50 HP means he can't keep himself in that fight for much longer. Momentary advantage now for Chicken Nuggies as they start to move back up along this final straight towards the end of C.
Yeah, there's good. I mean, it's that 30-second mark, right? Now it's going to be all about the Transcendence, and can you get a pick off now if you're the defense? Chicken Nuggies have the tools to work with, but it's all about when do they put them in the order of operations, essentially. Transcendence out early, but too late to keep Vendetta alive.
That's really fortunate because Vendetta did almost have that Flux online and ready to go. Moose has to pop to take a breather. He's being chased, and Monk Mudder's able to find Starboy. Ding is now down. The only healing available is Moose's take a breather and Light's healing station. But Moose is down, Atlas is down. There's only Light available. Can anybody even touch as Crandop looks to lock up that choke with the whole hog? A good try there from Chicken Nuggies, but not as far as it needed to go.
A really, really good second point leads to credit on point 3, right? That hold on second point was really the big difference maker in this map, and could be the difference in the series in terms of a tie or a 2-map, score for Chicken Nuggies. So Funny Team playing an excellent rotation on that third point, and I really like the adaptation of the Wrecking Ball. Finzi's been causing so much harass in the background, so much just general irritation and taking attention away from Monk Mudda, which I think is a big deal. Finzi doesn't even need to be that effective in terms of kills, which he's still doing, but it's giving space for Monk Mudda to get into the backline, to get in and out without really taking damage, and forcing the blinks, forcing the recalls. So the Wrecking Ball has provided dividends there for Funny Team.
Well, that's exactly what we want, isn't it? The Wrecking Ball is, to all intents and purposes, the rodeo clown in this setup. Like, you want him to draw attention away from the thing that's coming in towards you to do damage to the soft, squishy bits, and just get out of the way, cause chaos, make everybody laugh whilst you're doing it. And he was absolutely pixel perfect in doing that in that defense. Still, now we get to see how they make this work on the offense, and not a lot of change here from Chicken Nuggies.
I think the one thing here that I find a little bit curious is the Soldier pick. Obviously, Soldier was changed recently, and so, players have started to, bring him back in a little bit, but the one shot from an Ashe or a Widow is just too strong overall, so I wonder if that's going to be a difference maker here. We saw what Light was able to do on the opening on point A on their attack, on Chicken Nuggies' attack, but Danye going to go for a one-shot, doesn't find it, switch over to the Ashe, and get the value there via Gustav's damage boost.
Yeah, we didn't quite catch that on screen, but it was, of course, the wacky runaround there with Monk Mudder on the Symmetra to start things off. But back over onto the Tracer, and now deep into the 1v1 with Atlas. The big health pack has been taken up there, so Atlas is going to have to give over that one. Can't afford to take that fight much further with Monk Mudder. Moose now rotates the point, looks for them coming onto the high ground, but a nice back away there from Fincy.
Oh,
not good enough, though. Big anti and follow through there from Light. Oh, wow! Sir Magic with a long-range snipe with the right click deals with Light, but that will more or less be the hold here for Chicken Nuggies.
The one thing is that Starboy can only res one of these two, and Ding is going to be the one that's resurrected. Alice and Monk Mudder in the backline. Wait, this is a 2-on-1.
Oh, wow! No, it was almost two separate games, a 5v5 and then the Tracer 1v1, but Light breaks the sanctity of that exchange with the Helix Rocket and deals with Monk Mudder, who will be now back with his team, ready for this next push through.
All's fair in love and war, as they say, and if 2v1 is more than accepted in that situation. Finzy takes so much damage with the entry. No one clip this time.
No, almost, though, has to force the recall there instead. Atlas is going to receive that orb of Discord, means he can't really engage until that is out and about. Moose with the hook, can't quite find it on that one, and that's going to be Moose taken out of there. Beautiful set of combos there to deal with Moose. Crownup's going to go down, so it's now the 5v5, no hogs available here for everybody. This is momentarily a pig-free zone, but Gustav says Pork's back on the menu. Crandup back in the fight, but Light up on the high ground. Able to find the double here with the tactical visor, and the Helix Rocket into Crandup to potentially mount the hold here. It's now Light against Monk Mudder. Monk Mudder will win that one out, but by the slimmest of margins.
I love to see the assist that's there on the kill onto Light. It's literally three people all assisting Monk Mudder to get the kill. So the hook into the damage boost into the Discord orb as Sir Magic walks through Hotel with the aggressive play. And I think the one thing to kind of keep an eye out on is how effective Krendov has actually been on the Roadhog. You don't normally expect a main tank. You don't normally expect a main tank to be as effective at the Roadhog, you know, as an off tank would, but Krendov's been landing some clutch hooks that have really started to open things up a little bit here. So definitely credit to that to the player there as they lose two, but their spawns are right at the entrance.
Wow, Dadier taken out, I think, more or less in spawn there. Light's going to get chased down. Fincy pops the adaptive shield. Is that going to be enough to survive through? Finds the melee onto Fincy as well. I think Fincy thought he'd won that one, Lethon.
Yeah, it takes a look away. Perhaps had to reload and didn't really get into the swing of things. And I mean, now this is a little bit of a problematic place to be if you're a Funny Team fan. Every time I say something about one of the teams, the
kill feed says something different.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
This is an aggressive Bob.
Man, I mean, all it does is force the high ground control away here from Chicken Nuggies, but this is really what you want if you're Funny Team. Ding's going to go down here, and Bob is still safeguarding that passageway. Starboy momentarily on fire here, but able to back away to safety, and with the Valk in effect, the natural healing should more or less outlast the damage here. Oh no, it's Light on the high ground, and now Sir Magic has been forced to use that Transcendence early. There's nothing they can really do to stop Light finding a ton of value here. Well, they're going to take away his pocket. Yes, Sir Magic has been fantastic on this one. Danny's going to deal with Atlas. If you're Light here, you're going to have to give up that massive advantage that you have. There's not enough of your team left there to keep it going. And Danier with pick after pick after pick here.
That was a very, very clean pick there from Sir Magic to start off. The Light was looking, but putting so much pressure in through that window. This pick has been, you know, instrumental, I think, in terms of some of the pressure that you're able to put on the Roadhog, right? And so Randolph on the flank finds Atlas. This is gonna force the res.
Oh, Pulse Bomb is out. Man, they used him as bait and just struck him with the Pulse Bomb on the back end. Starboy's gonna go down here. Fincy alive and on the point, has the minefield, looking for the follow through with the power driver, won't find it. In the meantime, Light coming back alive there with the tactical visor, able to find Sir Magic before running headfirst into the minefield. And this is down to Vendetta alone on the point against the weight of Funny Team plus Bob. Vendetta's gonna go down here, but Ding finds a pick. Ding finds a second pick here. It's now Fincy and Gustav alive on the point, trying to keep this going that little bit longer. This has been not quite the monumental hold that we saw from Funny Team on B, but at the last seconds, it's rescued from the brink of disaster by Chicken Nuggies. Crandop's going to go and rejoin his team.
A little bit of a lackadaisical approach there from Funny Team that allows Chicken Nuggies back into it. It felt like Funny Team yet again thought they had completed the objective, and so they let up on the gas just a little bit. And that you cannot be doing that in these late stages of the fights. You let the respawns come in, Light finally going over to a long-range hit scan to make things a little bit more difficult for Danye, who's been tearing it up, it must be said.
Yeah, Danye has been a real difference maker here. Pull spot out from Atlas again, not finding too much on this one. Moose won't find the connect there with the pile driver, but now back on a wrecking ball of their own. Wants to try and follow Crandop down into the depths, but the whole hog will stop him keeping that contest going. Vendetta has the Flux here ready to go, dodges the Pulse Bomb. Monk Mudder is now in the back looking to try and work down a support. In the meantime, though, the Nano Boost comes out from Ding and onto Atlas, who starts to tell a bloody sway through what is left here of Funny Team. It's down below 40 seconds now for Funny Team, and it is a long way from guaranteed they can cap this point B.
Yeah, this is going to have to be a reset now. A soft reset for Funny Team as Chicken Nuggies has run out the clock. Crandop going to switch over to the Winston just to get back, I think. He's certainly going to have his work cut out for him.
Atlas with the Pulse Bomb ready to go. A stick here onto a squishy target could really stuff up the works for Funny Team. Will whiff that out, won't get the connect, and the rewind gets forced there from Atlas as well. Moose is about to get the minefield online, which is going to make this recontest that little bit harder to manage. Monk Mudder's the one that starts things off here, finds the pick onto Starboy, is now away into the back, wants to try and pressure out Light, but between the Bob and between the minefield and between Crandall coming back in on the Winston here, that is going to be where the count comes through here for Funny Team.
Identical time banks here on third in terms of what they've started off with. Finzi not going to be able to get the true cleanup there as Atlas escapes behind the safety of the Briggs shield. Yeah, it's going to be a reset now for Funny Team. They're going to be able to push the cart forward a little bit, but Chicken Nuggies will get the aggressive positioning here as Finzi's lost space. Randolph is going to have, he's going to have to start to find ways. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, you're not going to be able to do anything with Winston here on third.
Man, I feel really bad for Moose because I feel like every time we flick to Moose, we see him missing a hook, and I know he's not about that life. So let's see if we can catch a more successful Moose hook on camera next time, can we please, Obs? No ults available yet for Chicken Nuggies on the defense, closing in on having the Pulse one for Atlas, but we've seen these not be the most impactful ults so far, LeFon.
Yeah, it's really been a struggle for the Tracers in terms of landing them. They put pressure, but, I mean, pressure's not as good as a kill, so you're hoping for that to land this time around.
Here it is, Fincy with the opening frag. Ding's gonna go down here. Atlas holds on to Pulse Bomb, but has to now wait out that Orb Discord because that's gonna be very difficult to win the 1v1 with Monk Mudder in that situation. The cart is so close to winning out here. Pulse Bomb comes out, will at least force Transcendence. Vendetta with the Flux, countered by the Transcendence. Monk Mudder with a pick onto Moose, but Moose had already found Fincy in this fight. We are nearly into overtime, and Funny Team are starting to find picks. It's going to be down to Light to really be the difference maker here. So Magic is able to find two, and that is it. Funny Team just able to inch that over the line, LaFon.
Sir Magic comes in clutch. Absolutely spectacular play from the Zenyatta there at the very end. Makamata gets the play of the game, but I believe Sir Magic was the one with the true highlight at the end to keep things going. Through the infrasight and everything. There's the walkthrough that I was talking about. Yeah. I besmirched Moose. I'm sorry. It was actually Vendetta who walked through the entirety of the team.
Yeah. Put some respect on that man's name.
Yeah, it's a tough place to be when you're a tank, though, and you get stuck in. Everyone's sort of coalescing around you, right? What can you do? It's a hard place to be, but I think it was a very close map. I mean, literally identical time banks as we started that third phase, and realistically, just a support coming alive at the very end to get the clean pickoffs, even with the Anthracite up that helped Funny Team get the win here as we tie up our series 1-1, Chicken Nuggies versus Funny Team.
That's right. Well, we are tied up 1v1, but that means we've got a few more maps coming your way, and we're going to bring those to you after a very short break. Don't go too far because we're bringing you all the action. It's non-stop here at Monkey Bubble. Welcome back, everybody. Here we are. Very short break indeed, and we're back, ready to go into the third map of this series between Funny Team and Chicken Nuggies, and the map has been decided and locked in. It's going to be a payload map next, and it's going to be Havana Lafon. So, given what we've seen from these teams so far, what are we expecting more or less of on Havana?
I would not be surprised to see the Wrecking Ball continue to make an appearance, in all honesty, right? I think Finzi looked a lot more comfortable on that than he did on the Sigma. Not necessarily because his Sigma was bad or anything, but just I think the way the team was playing around it made a lot more sense in terms of the style they were playing. Monkmada and Finzi made more of a coordinated dive. I use the term dive loosely. More of just a backline harass than anything else, right? So I think one of the things that we can talk about is our map series so far has been pretty interesting. Obviously, map number 1 was Lijiang Tower and went to Chicken Nuggies, whereas map number 2, went to Funny Team to even up our series, as you can see there, and a very, very close game. So far, it's been a difference of inches in a lot of these cases, a lot of these fights. Control was a messy affair, right? When we go back to that, there was one fight that lasted a good 70%, 75%. So clearly some rust showing in terms of the cohesion, perhaps not necessarily the mechanical skill, but definitely the team cohesion was making a bit of a level up as the series went on, especially on Funny Team's side.
I think it's part and parcel of the way the meta is at the minute. It feels a lot more chaotic than some of the other metas we've had previously, in particular because you can afford to run these double off-tank setups that, by their nature have more pick potential, have more crowd control. That it can be very difficult to have a very short set conclusive fight. A lot of it is down to this knockdown, drag out brawl that just seems to go for 70% of a control point, and I feel like it's very, very difficult for a team to maintain fluid, sensible, coherent comms throughout an exchange like that. And I wonder if when we start to see how these two teams separate as we go through the map, if that's going to be the thing that makes the difference. For
sure. I want to draw attention, because I talked about Sir Majid, obviously, on the Zen on King's Row. I want to draw attention to his mirror in Ding, because there has been, if you've watched the Overwatch League's Grand Finals, if you sort of saw the difference of style in that Roadhog mirror, right, when you saw the Zen versus Ana, there has been some speculation the Zen was just because the Zen player for the Shock was so fantastic that they forced it, right? There's an element of that, I think, perhaps coming into play here on Sir Majid's side, and he's really made an effort to kind of step up, and I think has been a difference maker. Looking at the the Ana pick, though, a lot of the times the Nano Boost was applied to the Tracer of Atlas and wasn't able to get nearly as much value on the King's Row. So I wonder if that is going to be an evolution in this map, or if it's going to be sort of a continuation of what we saw in map number 2. At least early on, Ding hovering over the Zen.
Well, has come out of that, and honestly, like if I think of Ding as a player, I tend to think of the Zenyatta here, like definitely a character that he's made his name playing. So it doesn't surprise me to see that we're seeing the mirror here. Sir Majid getting the early value there if you're looking just at raw ult charge. Vendetta away on the Wrecking Ball into the back, and this is a very weird pathing choice from Chicken Nuggies.
They're trying to avoid the sightline of the Widowmaker here as they get around the flank. Obviously, Danye is protected by Finzi's shield. In terms of how he's standing, like you can see him playing at the very far back of the map. Grandop takes the high ground to scout, but you can see there's a rotation here just trying to avoid the Widowmaker. She's such a threat.
Well, we'll see if Grandop maintain that high ground position, but now as Sir Majid gets the opening frag, Vendetta's going to go down here as well. Moose takes a bit of a winning there, and I think without the driving force of the Wrecking Ball there for Chicken Nuggies, they are going to go for a soft reset.
And I mean, you can see, even just from this angle, you can see the fact that, like, in the back line there is, in the way back of the map, Danye was shooting out and had the shield protection as Monkmada trying to chase down Atlas. Gets them health back, though, so Monkmada is now in a tough place.
Yeah, that's kind of cheating in the Tracer 1v1 if you go default to the health back, and that was almost casual there from Light. Gets the sticky bombs in, a little bit of damage there, a bit of a tickle with the finishing, even Crandup's going to go down. Danye is now being pressured out heavily, and we're seeing Funny Team have to give up a heck of a lot of space here, LaFon.
And once you get past that Widow sight lines and start to be able to split the team up, this looks a lot better. Obviously, you don't have nearly as much control with the Sigma in a sort of a flanking situation. He tends to be immobile relative to the rest of his team. So the Transcendence can be forced here as the contest comes in. Grandop in the backline just draws the attention of 4 players.
Yeah, this has been great value here on the Wrecking Ball. Atlas is now maybe looking to try and get a back cap here. Just wants Fincy to step off the point long enough that he can scoop this over the back line. But I think Fincy knows that's a possibility and staying firmly rooted there. But Atlas is able to find Danya here as well. So it doesn't matter if they can't get the back cap. Throws in the pulse bomb, finds Fincy, and it's not going to be the back cap. It's going to be, if anything, the front cap here as Atlas comes alive to start to find frags here for the team. It's going to be another minefield over the top from Crandall. And will make the contest that little bit harder. Buy some time now for the rest of the Funny team to get back into the fight in a more meaningful way. Light is now a fraction of a percent away from getting that over online and ready to go. And a very exchangey fight here. Red after blue after red after blue as Starboy brings Vendetta back into the fight and Crandall brought back into the fight here by Gustav. This is what we're talking about. These really long fights that don't seem to coalesce particularly quickly. We'll get the Flux on board here from Light, who picked up the duplicate onto the Sigma. 2 from Moose, and the self-destruct takes Majed and Gustav out of the fight, and there is still 1.18 meters left to go. It's Monk, one of the last to go down, and that's what we see the cap come through as we move through onto streets.
I mean, Funny Team took so much time there as we get a quick replay of that pulse bomb in onto Finzy. And as we head back into the main action, I mean, the Funny Team were able to stall out so much time. Now, 3 minutes on the clock, they're going to have high ground control here in close with the defense. This is the best place to be, and you can see already Atlas being chased out of the high ground here.
Up getting very close to having a minefield off their own here. Vendetta likely to win out that war, but it is so close here for the Wrecking Balls. A sliver of HP apiece. They both retreat to their respective teams, ready to come fully charged into the next fight with their minefield. So, Crandall has controlled the high ground for now. It's a much easier place for him to put in that minefield. Won't commit it. Instead, goes for the power driver into the back. Sir Majid is going to use the Transcendency, which would be a great minefield clearing tool, and they use that to get rid of Vendetta's minefield, and that is a decisive fight win in a match where we've not seen many decisive fight wins.
I mean, we saw a lot of that from Crandall's perspective, and great too, because Crandall, the mechanics there were spectacular on the Wrecking Ball. We saw him chase out in the Tracer and the Wrecking Ball from the high ground, you know, the opposition, Vendetta and Atlas, and then not committing the minefield, instead trusting his team's call for the Bob in the backline was a really, really good play. You can see him now, I think, trying to go for a roll off the map as Chicken Nuggies crosses the bridge, perhaps.
He misses the rock on that one. Now the kinetic grass coming in. Not a lot of over shields on that one, but at least denies a small amount of ult charge for the DPS as Danny is going to pick up the Ash here now.
Oh, he's scouted.
He's still waiting. Yeah, they know where he is. He will find one power drive in, has to pop the adaptive shields and help secure the pick there onto Vendetta. Oh my gosh! What a Flux! I don't think I've ever seen a Flux used specifically just to interrupt the rest. Duplicate comes through, picks up the Zenyatta here, can't do enough damage with it, and immediately taken out of that, out of life. Atlas down now, as well as Funny Team continue their hold here.
That must have been the most amusing Gravitic Flux I've seen in quite some time. I mean, Finzy using the Gravitic Flux early, very early in that fight. He was searching for something, anything. And Starboy obliges by going for a Resurrect. And
I mean, look, 30 seconds is a long cooldown on Res, but it is not as long as the cooldown on generating another Flux. So, Fincy going to be looking to charge that one up ASAP for a little more utility in the fight.
Crandall again getting out with the general harassment. Minefield can be committed by Crandall this time around, and I think splitting up the team, take down Starboy, Danye, that's going to be
Atlas with the pulse bomb goes a little bit wide. Unfortunately, nothing on the back of that one from Atlas. And we've seen 2 picks come through here. Fincy back onto point, and this is looking unbreakable here for Funny Team.
Yeah, as Vendetta has made a switch over now to the Sigma as well, so no longer electing to run the Wrecking Ball mirror.
But it's 30 seconds, and Vendetta's currently down. He's not going to get that Flux online unless we get another one of these knockdown, drag-out fights, but didn't get squashed under the weight of a mechanical hamster wheel. And that's going to put them in the 5v6 again as we approach the 10-second mark, Lafon.
And Starboy cannot get this Resurrect. They're going to have to go for a subtle fight. Atlas is going to be the one who has to contest. He's going to blink across the map.
Well, Mike's going to find Majid. Yeah, Monk, but has Pulse Bomb, though, ready to go. Finds his opposite number, pops the rewind, keeping himself back into HP, and finds the stick Self-destruct now out from Moose, buys a little bit of space, a small amount of cart cover. Ding's going to find Danier's Bob and take that out of the fight. Light is away, a long way away from the fight, and looking through the slimmest of angles here for Pix, but it's just not going to happen for him. Crandup deals with Starboy, and that is going to be where the overtime wick burns down. Not a lot of distance gained here on B.
Yeah, and even worse, you don't get it past that corner, right? That high ground choke I talked about, or I mentioned in the passing at the very start of the second, the second point is so easily defendable, but you need to get the cart into a position where you can defend it from, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, that is a tough place to be, tough place for the cart to stop, and now you're honestly looking at a first point hold or a map loss. You need this point to be stopped. You need the cart to be stopped on that first A side, because realistically speaking, once you get over the bridge, it's going to be lights out, especially with how much space Crandup has been creating with the Wrecking Ball just in general.
Yeah, and we didn't even really get to the point on the B phase of Rialto that is like, particularly for UK Overwatch fans, like the feared part of this map, like the high ground control around the stairs just round the corner where our payload got to, and the fact that Funny Team were able to make that work in this slightly less conventional, difficult position to hold here says a lot about just how well what Funny Team were running was working for them. And I think for Chicken Nuggies, we needed to see some adaptations a little bit sooner. I don't feel like the Diva was particularly effective here. I would have liked to have seen maybe the mirror, or maybe something a little bit more pick focused.
Yeah, I think another thing to kind of keep into account is the Echo matchup, right? Light was playing the Echo for a long time, and wasn't getting nearly as much value as I think he wanted to. Part of that obviously is in Danier's favor. The hit scan prowess, showing in very clearly from that last point, as obviously pocketed by Gustav. You're getting that one shot more frequently. You're putting a lot of pressure on the Echo in the sky. And I think Echo is a very strong character right now. Obviously the sticky mines are very good. You're able to put pressure in terms of the healing, especially with a composition, especially the composition that is being run. With the Zen Mercy, you don't have a lot of mainline heals, I would say, right? Like, you have Gustav playing primarily around Danier, and then the orb is realistically what's given to the flankers all the time. So Crandup has to survive on health packs and Zen orb. And I think that that speaks to how much pressure is being put onto Light when he's on that Echo, that he's not able to take advantage of that space. So we're going to see an adaptation already as we head into this defense for Chicken Nuggies. Double hit scan essentially. Atlas obviously on the Tracer, so not a core hit scan necessarily, but more of a flank style. So yeah, definitely an adaptation here that I think makes a ton of sense, especially considering what Dania and Monkmata were able to do on the mirror DPS side.
Yeah, and I think when you look at the supports here, it's not like, short of just winning out your duel as the Zen against the Tracer, there's not a lot you can do to shut down the Tracer. You've got to run that mirror here. Like, Atlas is, he's trying to get assassinations into the backline, but also he's kind of got to peel to protect his own supports here. Looks like Danny is going to take that opening shot and then maybe go for a swap. I'm going to see him pick up the Ash here. I'm going to see him pick up the Ash here.
The Ash Dynamite is just so good. You can see Moose here sitting in the corner, though. Looking for a hook, perhaps?
They don't know. Trying up into the back. Actually, we're going to lose this 1v1. Atlas able to get the better of him on this one.
That's the first. It feels like the first time all game that we've sort of said that, though.
Yeah, so. It feels like the first time Crandup's died, frankly. He stays alive for so long in these fights.
But I mean, he's going to be back in the respawn in no time at all. And with the fact that Pulse Bombs have been whiffing left, right, and center, it's even hard to call that ult charge gain really much of anything.
Well, Light takes a bit of a beating on that one. Funny Team swarming the cart, getting the quick double. Moose, Starboy, Light all down here, and this looks like it might be an easy A here for Funny Team. They maybe need to get a reset ASAP and just contest at the choke.
I mean, they're going to be walking into all six as Monkmata gets resurrected, and Danya on the high ground. Oh, if Crandrop had gotten that kill onto Atlas, you were looking at a very different contest. Yeah. Atlas is the first point of contact here on the objective, I think. As Moose gets chased out from this wrecking ball position.
A lot of damage there onto Moose. Big unfortunate for the guy. And we've got 1.52 meters left to go. And Danye is going to be bodyguarding here from the high ground. But Ding manages to find him. But it looks like it's not been enough here to stem the bleeding, as we will see the res back in onto Danny to bring him up to full strength here. Monkmata finds Moose. And that is it. A very quick point A here and not far to go on B.
no, literally halfway through B to get that objective. And obviously the respawns are so long, and they're getting delayed kills as well. Ooh. Atlas doing his best to bring it back, but I'm not sure it's enough as Starboy goes down.
And the respawn is so punishing here for the defense as well that you maybe don't even mind losing a couple here on the offense. You got to be back in this so quickly. We'll force out
force again.
Yeah, that's Atlas really quite out of position. I think in that fight against the Wrecking Ball really shouldn't be in that position, but forced very low here.
I mean, here's the problem. You need to contest cart, and Mindfield's available for Grandot. Good early pickoff. I don't know if Gustav can res that one.
No, in fact, Gustav, I think, went for the res and got focused out on that one. Crandup is now in the back, has the Orb of Discord on him, so can't keep himself in this fight in a meaningful way. Monk Mudder has the high ground here, but doesn't want to commit just yet because that was a convincing win here from Chicken Nuggets.
Yeah, Crandop is going to get out with his life. I don't know if Monk Mudder is still in the back line. He may have been considering to go for a back gap, but the card has already started rolling backwards. So, but like, you don't, here's the real difficult part. You kind of want Light to take up this aggressive high ground position here to deal damage, but you won't really be able to contest cart while that happens. Like you see already, Crandop starting to push the cart forward.
We saw Bob and both pulse bombs exchanged in this one. Moose is on the cart for now, but it's still slowly rolling forward. Wait. Oh, that was so very nearly environmental kill, but Ding just able to, sorry to imagine, able to just float his way back onto the point. Monk Mudder and Crandup and Danye starting to find numbers here. There's a minefield over the point there. Will make it a little bit difficult for Fincy to keep this going, but Crandup gets brought back into the fight and not quite sure what was going on there. A little bit of a T-pose on the point for dominance, I think. Possibly Crandop able to find Moose, and that is it. And done. It's going to be down to Light to tag on to keep this going, but he gets the Orb of Discord. Does buy time for Vendetta to come back in with the Gravitic Flux, but can't do enough to get a single kill on the back of it, and there is just too much momentum here for Funny Team. The Wrecking Ball of Moose trying to keep this going alive a little bit longer, but Monk Mudder runs him down with the Pulse Pistols, and that puts us at match point. It's 2-1 for Funny Team.
Absolutely spectacular run through there, and honestly, a lot on the main tank play there from Crandop. Credit to Sir Magic here, who's going to get the highlight, of course, but and I think across the board, Danya has done a spectacular job. Definitely a highlight-worthy player, but I think Crandop has taken so much aggression, so much space, and just being a general nuisance to Chicken Nuggies that it's hard to kind of contest with that, right? Like when the Wrecking Ball is so just doesn't die, right? It doesn't go down. You have to spend so much attention on him that you can't spend it on the rest of the team that's currently ripping you apart. So Funny Team take the lead off the back of spectacular play across the board from their roster.
And it's interesting, right, that you often see Tracer used in this role, and you kind of think of her as like a mosquito, like she's there to bother you, to be a threat, not always to get kills, but to draw attention. And the way that we're seeing Crandup play this is, if Tracer is the mosquito, then Crandup is just like this buzzard, this turkey that is harassing your backline, swinging through faster than you can deal with, and taking up all of the possible attention. You can't focus on anything other than Crandup a lot of the times as he makes his run through, because if you don't try and discourage him, he's just going to keep doing it. So he's always got the Orb of Discord, but he's so quick and he's so slippery that he's always on his way out.
Yeah, and I mean, he's got 1,000 HP when those adaptive shields are online, and on top of that, you'd say, okay, he doesn't have a lot of damage, can I just ignore him? But he's getting these kills. At one point in time, I mean, he was assisted by Sir Imagine, of course, with the Discord Orb, but at one point in time, he got 2 kills on the back end on Ding and on Light, I believe, so on the Zen and the Ash, respectively, and just made life, if the annoying nuisance is also threatening and deadly, well, that's a huge combination to kind of have to worry about, and while all that's happening, that's just one player we're talking about. Meanwhile, Sir Magic is hitting shots. Danye is hitting shots. Monk Mudder is also, being an absolute disaster with a Tracer. So I think across the board, the difference between maps 1 and then 2 and 3 has been, it's given a lot more time and space for the tanks to warm up, the team to warm up, and to play around them. And also, it seems the style that is being that Chicken Nuggies wants to play has been read a little bit by Funny Team and has made things a little bit more difficult for them.
Looks like we have got our next map lined up and ready to go. Seems like we are getting ready to go into Hanamura. Had a little bit of a false start on that one, but should be with you very shortly. So this is loser's pick. So that was going to be Chicken Nuggies' choice here of map, and I don't feel like Hanamura particularly is a map that really supports the Wrecking Ball style of play unless you can make that really quick run through on A and somehow set up either an initial pick or that spin to win on the point. So I wonder if this is a good read here from Chicken Nuggies, just trying to deny a little bit of Krandop's ability to set up that style of play.
I mean, it'll remain to be seen, because I think the one thing is, in terms of how we approach the rest of the maps, we talk about their style and sort of their the geometry of the map. I think is probably the word I'm looking for, and then we kind of theorycraft what characters are good. Based on that. Assault is one of the exceptions in these maps a lot of the time, right? There's a main choke you kind of have to work your way through, and then a main objective. So it's like a 1-2 in each and every, in the 2 points in the map. So, and you make a Wrecking Ball work? Yes, you absolutely can. We've seen it happen. We've seen, those rotations, force the Wrecking Ball through the initial choke, at least on the offensive side. Force the Wrecking Ball through the choke, have him cause that disruption in the back, while then the rest of the team makes their way through after you, right? So, more like a siege breaker, and then the rest of the team kind of shows up. Defensively, though, especially with what Funny Team are sort of hovering on, that's where I'm really interested in seeing how they apply it, because Krandop on the Wrecking Ball, doesn't have nearly as much space to work with as he did on the previous 2 maps. So definitely very, very interested to see what happens here.
Well, this is kind of an adaptation of the some magic falling very, very low there. This is like an adaptation of the avoidance style of play. Like if your Wrecking Ball and your Pharaoh can play together and get combos, like that's an incredibly powerful way to play. So if they can pull that off, this is going to be an easy hold here for Funny Team. But it's a difficult, very specific style to play, and these guys have not been playing together that long, so it remains to be seen whether they can make this work.
We actually saw Atlas make a switch over to the Echo here, try to duel the Pharah in the sky.
Yeah, I feel like this is a matchup that sometimes favors the Pharah just because the damage is a little bit more consistent. It's a little bit less bursty. Like a couple of boosted rockets onto the Echo can be what takes the Echo out of the fight, and it's a little bit easier for Daniel to make those dodges. So Magic forced to use the Immortality Field early, but Fincy gets the opening frag. Ding's going to go down, but immediately traded back. Gustav down as well, so no chance of the res here. Krandop's able to find one, but looks like it's all Chicken Nuggies in the kill feed for now. And going to be looking at them winning out this fight. Moose will lose the mech here, but he's only going to duel... Oh, I was going to say he only has to duel out Sir Maged, but did also find Fincy come around the corner towards him, so that will be the pick there for Fincy. But Chicken Nuggies now starting to gain point presence.
You're getting that first tick. It's Fincy and Sir Maged are not elected to throw their lives away, waiting instead for the return of the rest of the team. And Pulse Bomb's going to go wide, but the remaining damage is there.
Yeah, this is looking really good. Nice patience here from Funny Team as they push their way back in. Will use the Amplification Matrix. Not terrible there as Vendetta goes for the hard reset. That could have gone a lot worse there for Funny Team.
It absolutely could. And I would like to say at this point, aside from that one outlier on King's Row, I think we should just put an X over the alt charge on Tracer at this point, because hasn't been very effective in general. Monkbutta, speaking of, standing up on the flank here on the high ground, spots out Starboy, but Starboy's going to get away.
Ooh, actually, a lot of damage there being done to Atlas, who will get out of the way just in time. Fincy with the self-destruct, not a lot of shielding available, and Light is going to feel the brunt of that one, but only briefly as Starboy brings him back into the fight with the res. It's a full 6 here for Chicken Nuggies, and they are starting to barrel on point. Fincy did find one with the self-destruct. Back in the mech for now. High ground control taken up now by Chicken Nuggies. Atlas taken out of the duplicate form there by a melee strike from Gustav, so couldn't get the Bob online and ready to go. Chicken Nuggies starting to move their way onto the point, and it will be the Tactical Visor with the boost there for Light, but Funny Team, they make themselves scarce, and they actually wait out that ultimate and deny any value from it. Vendetta gets one pick here with the minefields and is ready to start taking up position on the point yet again. We're going to lose Atlas, but that's 2 ticks gained already. Funny Team can come here and contest. They can burn time off the clock, but Chicken Nuggies have numbers and momentum in their favor for now. Monkbutta can put a stop to that with the Pulse Bomb. Waits out this... Oh, that's unfortunate. Right into the winning defense matrix there of Moose. Daniel finds Moose on the back end of that one, and the fight somehow still going on. Funny Team back in, and it is Sir Maged that's the difference maker there. Takes Vendetta out of the fight with the Amplification Matrix, and another hold. 43 seconds left to go on the point now.
The biggest thing here for Funny Team is their philosophy seems to be bend, don't break. They're willing to give up objective percentage if they win the fight, right? So they're willing to give you that space only to come back in and take it all away. And I think That has been a big difference here. Funny Team are baiting Chicken Nuggies in, and Chicken Nuggies are falling for it a lot of the time. Light gonna make yet another switch as he goes over to the Ash. But I mean, you're running out of time and you don't have anything directly available.
10 seconds and now you've got to deal with the self-destruct. It's all the way back into the noodle shop, but somehow Starboy and Ding both get caught by that. This is phenomenally bad now for Chicken Nuggies. They will manage to tag onto the point to keep this contested. Immortality field out, and there's nobody there. There's nobody there for Chicken Nuggies. It's almost a full hold here. Funny Team, they manage to bend, they don't break, and they stop the cap at 76.5% here for Chicken Nuggies, and they've got to manage now the fuller hold.
I mean, and that sets the win condition for Funny Team at 76.6%, right? So this is a disastrous place to be, and it feels like at times Funny Team, after the the one off on control, have taken this series just in complete domination and really set the tempo and sort of said, this is how we're playing. How are you going to respond to it? And at the moment, it feels like Funny Team just has given no options even for Chicken Nuggies to have answers.
It feels like a lot more of a prepared, consistent, thorough style of play from Funny Team, and I wonder if that's what we start to see from some of the veteran power that we have here for Funny Team. Fincy and Danier picked up for a good reason for the Overwatch League, and prior to that, a huge amount of experience, going all the way back to the very early days of competitive Overwatch. And whilst there is still a wealth of experience here for Chicken Nuggies, that veteran power for Funny Team might be what starts to dictate how these fights go.
Well, I mean, you've got 4 minutes. You've got 4 minutes to find an answer. Yeah, we'll see if Funny Team even gives them the opportunity.
Yeah, and of course, it's match point here. So whilst it wouldn't be the end of the run for Chicken Nuggies, they would go down into the lower bracket. They've got to force the win here. They've got to force the fuller hold. Otherwise, that's it. The match ends. We move over onto our next match in the series. So, Funny Team, not a lot to do here. 76.6%, and they find the win. They're magic up onto the high ground. They're looking for targets. We'll see Fincy focus down early here, but Krandov is away onto the Wrecking Ball into the back, looking to try and draw some focus. We'll see Ding rezzed back in. Krandov gets the run through and retreats to the safety of the team for now.
And I mean, now you're looking at this next fight. Fincy's going to switch over onto the D.Va as well. Light takes so low. And remember, there's no Resurrect available. Starboy had to commit it onto earlier in this round. So that Atlas is going to have to come back the old-fashioned way, and Monk Mud is a hell of a lot faster.
Absolutely. Krandov was able to find Atlas on that one, but Krandov is now again just tagging into the back, goes, hey guys, look at me, I'm Mr. Wrecking Ball, but sadly his clown act on that one did not last all that long, and Krandov's going to go down to Vendetta, care of a bit of a damage boost and an Orb of Discord. So now down below the 3-minute mark for Funny Team.
Monkamata is also already in on the flank, trying to put pressure onto Ding, so still some space being gained here as Krandov's going to make his appearance and return to the objective.
TNT. Danier got a lot of damage there onto Ding, but he's going to get healed up and back into the fight. And Danier finds Light, which might be the opener. Sir Majid has the amplification matrix in. So there's the bob from Danier, and a minefield now out from Vendetta, but immediately taken out of that. So no mines left to deal with, and Funny Team, they start to surge back over towards the point. The answering bob comes out from Light here, but Danier has already found value. It's a 2-for-2 trade. Vendetta's able to take a step and Krandov back out of the fight, and that was looking fantastic for Funny Team there for a second, but Chicken Nuggies, they dig deep and they find the resources to keep the hold going.
It's not over and done yet. Okay, Sir Magic going down makes it a lot more difficult now for Funny Team to actually truly make this a fight theirs. Danny's not done though.
No, still in this, but that support pairing keep themselves alive through that. Don't know the Starboy's got the res here. Ding is down. Yeah, there's the res coming through. Ding back in the fight, and Vendetta even gets the knockdown onto Krandov.
I mean, now you're starting to look at this hold as being a real possibility, actually, for Chicken Nuggies. I mean, 1:30 left, so you've got 2.5 fights left in this round, and you have self-destruct. You're going to have, support ultimates online in a moment, especially with the fact that Funny Team is so far away from theirs, and this is where you have to start to dig deep and not make those mistakes, right? Because this is, Chicken Nuggies have this, realistically have one fight to hold, and then they can get this in their favor.
Danier tried to duck, dive, dodge, dipper out of the way of that one, but couldn't manage it. But do you know what? It may not matter because Finzi opens things up here with a devastating blow with the self-destruct. Takes out 2, and Danier is now back. Moose throws in the self-destruct, but it's too little. It's too late. It's 2 ticks and rising now for Funny Team. They've got it in the bag, and that is it. It is 3-1 to Funny Team, and they are going to move forward in the upper bracket, inching ever closer towards that contender's trial spot.
What an absolutely spectacular play from Finzi, and I think this actually might be the highlight. Making magic out of nothing, and I said, talking about. No, this is actually the end of the defense round. But making magic out of nothing a second time in a row, really, these 2-man bombs on both supports has been a huge difference maker. I said that Chicken Nuggies have the win condition established. They just have to make sure they play positioning properly so don't throw it away, and then Finzi immediately sets self-destruct. And it's a good self-destruct, but yet again, I mean, getting caught in a position where it's allowed to happen is a tough place to be for Chicken Nuggies. And as a result, they lose out the... They lose out the map. They lose out the series 3-1. Funny Team continuing their move forward. Pretty great play overall.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said there for the way this roster has been put together and their understanding of how they can use the meta to work to their advantage. And I'm looking forward to seeing them, not just seeing them play again, but I also want to see them challenged a little more. Like, not to say that Chicken Nuggies haven't been challenging them, but, you know, when you get to this level of play, you really want to see, you know, the top 2 teams go head-to-head, and we get to see whether Funny Team can continue to make this style of play work for them through the rest of the tournament.
And I mean, that's going to be the real question, right? Because I mean, we saw a strategy brought into play quite a bit through the third half. You know, the third half, the later 3 maps, second half. There we go.
Maths is hard.
Series.
It's really hard.
My degree is in math, weirdly enough, so I don't know that I have that excuse. But they had a style based around Krandop's Wrecking Ball that really was about him creating as much space and havoc as possible, opening up space for Danier to really get that hit scan into position, and Monk Meta also causing that harass in the backline. And I mean, those individual points put together is a tough place to be. I'm curious to see if someone could punish Krandop in these later stages.
Well, we are going to get to see them move forward in the winner's bracket and see if they can be challenged. But before we let them go, we are going to have a little bit of an interview with somebody from the winning side of Funny Team. But before we do, whilst we get them into lobby and ready to go, we're going to throw to a little old ad break. But don't go too far because it's going to be a heck of an interview.
All right, welcome back, everyone. We have our interview lined up with the winning tank of Funny Team. Krandop, congratulations on the victory, taking that 3-1 over Chicken Nuggies.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, Krandop, we actually touched on this a little bit in the break whilst we were waiting for things to come live. You've been playing over in NA for a very long time now.
Yeah.
And now you're back in EU. Are you expecting this to be, for you personally, a real change of fortunes now that things are a little bit more in your favor?
I think there is definitely a change. I think just being able to have a proper sleeping schedule and also just not playing on ping is going to be very beneficial for me. I'll be able to focus more during scrims, during officials, all that, and I can be a bit louder as well because usually my parents would be sleeping during the officials' time, so I can actually properly scream to my team what's going on. But I think I think I can finally get some wins again because it wasn't looking too hot in NA. So a change of pace is definitely nice to have.
Good, glad to hear it.
I mean, speaking of change of pace, and I mean, this segues perfectly into the composition you guys ran a lot today. The Wrecking Ball made an appearance, and you were pretty spectacular on it. Just run us through sort of the thought process and sort of execution you brought to the table with the Wrecking Ball.
Most of the time, we have two main compositions with the Wrecking Ball. One is a more spammy type comp, the Zenyatta or an Ashe, or the Zenyatta and the Soldier. With that, I'm mainly playing to deny space from the enemy team, and then when the backline, our backline, has a good LOS, I'm looking for slams onto the enemy backline so we can try to blow them up. And for the more divey kind of composition, I'd say I look more to actually always aggress instead of playing a bit more passive in the beginning and then aggressing. With the spam composition, you kind of need to make sure the enemy doesn't get to your backline for free, more so than when you're diving. So about that.
Okay, and I think a thing for me that is interesting, obviously it's taken a lot of time, a lot of understanding to get to the point where you know how these compositions work. But for me, the thing I'm interested in is, like, looking at your team, there is some real star power here. Like, how did this roster come into being?
Personally, I don't actually know too much about it because there was originally a different main tank started this team. They assembled the roster, but that main tank got picked up for a different team and ended up leaving. And then I got contacted by these players asking if I would be able to play a few days before the tournament, well, a week or so before the tournament. And then I just started playing. So I'm not sure how exactly it started, but I think people just know each other and they started asking around if they were down to play together.
I guess a more high-level question. We've dived a little bit into the weeds in terms of the compositional stuff. What's next for you as a player, right? Like, what are you looking to accomplish here in the next couple of weeks, for example?
I'm mainly looking to show that I'm capable of playing in a high-level contenders team or even Overwatch League team, because the last year or so in Uprising Academy, we obviously haven't had too many great results, and I feel like people started to doubt me a bit more. So I'm trying to get my reputation back up to the point that people see that I can actually play on a high level. So that's what I'm mainly looking for also in this tournament.
And looking forward to the tournament specifically, are there any teams that you're either particularly looking forward to or particularly worried about playing against?
I think the team with the streamers with Harblu,
Easy.
Craig, exactly. Yep, easy. I think I look forward to playing against them because they won against a team with Keisei and Antigon, which I thought would do well as well. So I'm interested to see how good they are and how we compare to with them. So I'm looking forward to playing against them.
Well, I think Crandup, for myself, unless of course LaFawn has any final question he wants to throw your way.
No, more of just all right. Good luck and great match so far.